Welcome to the Wholesome Music Podcast, the DIY podcast about DIY music. This is my friend Cameron.
That's right. I am the founder of Secret Spot DTLA. We're downtown Los Angeles' co-working space for creatives. My pronouns are he, they, or she. Music producer, photographer, songwriter, and creative professional. This is my friend Augustin.
Pronouns he, they, she. I co-own a record label called Give Take. I co-own a artist and music services and traditional PR company called Cocaine Opera. Songwriter, photographer. What happens is when you get this entrenched in the music industry, you end up just learning how to do a lot of things.
You get all of the hyphens,
and that's how, and that's how you get this.
That's how you end up here.
Let's talk about this week's episode.
This was a nostalgia rip.
Yeah,
this was a deep dive into the feels of the past.
I think we're gonna call this like the nostalgia episode, or the retrospective episode.
Ooh.
We ended up talking,
retrospective on music.
Yeah, because we kind of just talked about we did a little bit. This is that Mercury retrograde energy, which they say is over, but we kind of both feel is still heavy on us today.
It's here. We're in the shadow.
We do in the shadow. It's real. So the first thing we did is we did our band's Obsolete.
Yes,
we looked at spoiler alert. We looked at data going back to 1958 all the way to 2023.
We brought you back in time.
I looked at all that. Two news articles that are discussing two different trends about how Gen Z and club culture are changing as a reflection or a backlash to the encroachment of technology.
Yeah.
We got one about clubs and raves. We got one about MP3, return of the MP3 player.
Put it back. Put it back. Put it back. Put it back in the past.
Opinions
we don't need those. You could, if you got one, you just go ahead and you put it on eBay. Let someone else.
Then I disagree. So stick around. We had a really cool conversation about kind of how we both see that. That I think is really, if you miss the iPod, listen to this, because I think by the end of it, you'll probably you'll be on one camp or the other.
Hot take, I don't miss the iPod.
Excuse me. Finally, the last thing is we looked at a discussion about local Australian music in Australia. It's on the decline, but it's for a really interesting reason.
Yeah.
Why. It's once you hear it, you're like, oh, that makes sense, but it's kind of counterintuitive, but it's there. And then that led to a cool kind of discussion about trends in the music industry, and what we can kind of do in our local
proliferation of musical culture. We
ended up talking about cultural hegemony and things like that. So another really just a ripper of an episode.
It is,
as always. So before we get started, if you are not subscribed,
subscribe.
Do it now.
Right now.
You can like this thing. You can hype this thing on YouTube. If you're on Amazon Music or Apple Podcasts,
leave us 5 stars.
And also subscribe so that you can get this every single week.
That's right.
We put this in your face holes every single week.
We do.
We say Wednesday.
Yeah.
But
it's usually Wednesday.
It's really
usually Wednesday, but sometimes, it's holidays. Holidays happen. Sometimes crazy life happens.
But definitely by Thursday.
The fourth Friday every week.
Sunday morning, guaranteed. It's gonna be. So let's get into this.
Let's do it.
So for those of you who are watching us right now, it's the end of Mercury retrograde, but we were both talking
it's
off
the
camera.
Shadow period.
Yeah, but we were both just talking about how for us, if this feels like the most retrograde that I've had since it started.
Yes.
And so we're having I once again forgot a piece of gear. So we're working on take two of this thing, and
before we recorded, and then the camera didn't record.
Yeah.
So everything else recorded, but not the video.
So now we have this very convoluted setup with a series using an old computer as a mirror.
Yes. Yep. Using the iMac. Yeah. Getting the most out of that.
And so we need to duck a little bit to try to see this thing to make sure to make sure. For those of you who are on audio, you are missing. It's it looks like we have to move our necks like we're birds of prey hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just because we're trying to get a good view of that 5K retina panel.
So if you're wondering what's happening visually, if you're listening, you
won't need to,
you're at an advantage.
Yeah,
This one
you'll have a good time.
So, are bands obsolete?
Yes, bands are obsolete.
I love it. You're just like, yes.
Yeah. No questions
no
asked.
questions.
We're gonna get right into
Turn off the podcast. You heard it here first.
Thank you so much for listening.
We'll see you next week. Goodbye. So let's go through this. An analysis of U.S. chart history from August 1958 to September 2024 reveals that bands occupied only 34% of top chart positions. I would have expected more. The mid-1960s to the mid-1990s marked a golden era where bands shared the limelight with solo artists. So post-1995, there was a sharp decline in bands in the charts. Bands held 41% of chart positions in 1995. Plummeting to a mere 4% by 2023.
Wow.
Notably, 2023 saw no bands reaching the number one spot, a position dominated by solo acts like Taylor Swift and Miley Cyrus. So first thing I would like to say is, what a shocking decline.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's huge. That's crazy.
Yeah. I just being as a person who lived through that era, you can feel it, right?
Yeah.
It's just like when I look back, I remember I had this moment kind of as a songwriter where I was like, I need to think about writing songs differently because I grew up in the band era. The band era.
Yeah.
And I was writing in a way that I was thinking, and I grew up in bands. I came up in bands. We talked about multiple times.
Yes.
And I had to start thinking about, like, as a songwriter, I need to write differently because, like, the market, so to speak, has really changed.
It has shifted,
and like bands aren't what are making music in the charts anymore.
No.
So, what do you attribute this decline?
I think it's a number of things. I think one, we're in this like DAW world, right?
Yeah.
We're in the digital audio workstation world.
Yeah.
So you don't need a band. You can be the band.
Right.
You can be the band in your bedroom by yourself. You don't need to have a drummer to go in, because if you're in Logic, you just click add drummer track. You don't need a bassist because you got AI. You just click add AI bassist.
Yeah.
AI bassist happening.
Yeah.
Like,
you've got Splice.
You want to use, you can use Splice. You can use royalty-free samples. You can use any number of things. You can collaborate with people without them being there.
Yeah.
You can collaborate with people.
You can collaborate with nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
and you still make a song.
I love loops and samples because they, in a lot of ways, they provide for me the thing that that bands being in, writing together in a band or rehearsing with a band provided for me, which is like just something to bounce off of.
Bounce ideas off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just something unexpected coming at me that I can react to as a creative person.
And I mean, I miss that. I think there is something like really, really magical about like being in the room with other musicians and creating together, and the feeling you get when you're making music. Yes.
There is not, like, to me, I'm on record saying this, and
put it on wax, baby.
I will, like, listen, to me there's no greater joy in human existence than being in bands. And what's fucked up is I haven't been in a band in 10 years.
Wow.
And I have made a lot of music.
No, that's probably true for me too.
Right. And I put a lot of records out and I put a lot of music out, and but I have not been in like a functioning get together every week. Let's write, or let's rehearse, let's come up with stuff together band. And part of it's because I was moving a lot.
Yep.
But also part of it, I think, is that the like prevailing market forces, which I'd like to get into with you, have been incumbent on me as well.
Yeah.
So you talked about the dot. I think we should give credit, by the way, to MattyBallz.
Yes, YouTuber. Shout out MattyBallz, YouTuber. He's not that small, but if you don't know MattyBallz, great music content, great like music commentary content. Yeah. If you like this, you're gonna like that. Go check him out. Go show some love.
So that channel has something called "Why Aren't Kids Starting Bands?"
Yes, and this is part of there's another video on this from Rick Beato. Rick Beato has a great discussion about like the decline of bands.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a really interesting topic for us to get into.
Yeah.
Because we did both come up playing in bands.
Yeah.
Like, I started as a trumpet player. I played in a ton of bands, played like in high school, I played guitar in a band. Like
Mhm.
that was my first foray into like, I think I'm gonna do the music on my
Yeah,
own.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
like we'll make a band. I'll
Yeah.
get a drummer. I'm gonna have someone play the keyboard. We're gonna rehearse in my mom's basement. We're gonna go do a couple
Yes.
shows. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna play Battle of the Bands and like all those things. I think that infrastructure that was there to support young bands coming up, whether it was like little DIY venues that were
Yeah.
very much oriented towards that, those spaces I feel like are getting fewer and
Yep.
further between,
Yep.
making it harder for the bands that do exist to gig.
Yep. So I was saying this when I was in the heyday of being in bands. I was saying this 15 years ago, and I still maintain it. It's still true. One of the reasons that we have to one of the things we have to blame for the decline of bands is global capital.
Yeah.
Because everybody gets squeezed, right? So it's real estate.
Yeah.
Like, because being in a band, not only is it the coordination between the 3, 4, 5, 6 members to get everyone's rehearsals,
get everyone together, make sure you're all free at the same time.
Can you come to the show? We got asked to do the show. Can you make it? Like, and then there's like the rehearsal space aspect of it too. So we're in LA, of course.
Yeah. Shout out Downtown Rehearsal.
We just had a major loss in the DIY music scene with the loss of downtown rehearsal space. Do you want to explain what a rehearsal space is?
Yeah, a rehearsal space is a space where you rent out to make your music. Sometimes you do it shared. Sometimes it's like you and another band.
Or like
sometimes
4 other bands.
You and 4 other bands. Sometimes it's just you. Like, it depends on what your situation is. But it's going to be the place that you go. Usually it's a lockout situation.
Yeah.
So you're going to leave your gear there. So you're going to be able to have access to this room the whole time.
Yeah.
That's your space. It's like, you and your band can drink your beers and record, or you can
and leave your drummer's kit there.
Leave your kit
bring
there.
Your own PA there.
Bring your, leave your 8x12 guitar cab there. Do whatever you need to do.
There are, by the way, rehearsal spaces by the hour. Plenty of them in LA.
Yeah.
I'm sure all over.
You could book here as a rehearsal space.
in fact, I have.
Yes.
We're losing that building. This is like, so
it's huge. It's enormous. It was probably 6 stories, probably over 1,200 units for sure.
Yeah.
Just enormous, beautiful facility. I actually looked at properties there. I found it to be like a little bit like expensive.
Yeah,
a little expensive. This is LA.
That's my point.
LA, but like it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
And so like,
but they were cool spaces.
This is my point. Is like there's so much. It costs so much to be in a band. Right? Yeah. So now it's like, all right, so like you, me, let's like a couple of our homies, we want to start a band, and like and this is why I haven't done it. One of the reasons I haven't done it. It's like, okay, so like now we have to get one of these spaces, and that's going to cost us some hundreds of dollars a month.
Yep.
And then we're going to be sharing that with the other bands. So that we're going to have this limited kind of windows where we can get in there in a
little timeshare situation.
4 or 5 of us are going to have to figure out when we can get together and like rehearse, because there's going to need to be so many bands in the space, because that's the only way we can all afford
make it work.
And it's just like, it's so much work, and you can go through all that. And like, honestly, I would say, I'm not here to dissuade you from doing that. You should do that.
You should
it's
do
worth it.
It's fun.
But like, or like you do this like kind of mentally math where you're like, I could do all that, or I could just like sit down in my DAW of choice, rip out a cool tune, and then like put it up on and like put it up on Spotify the next day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's like a real resistance to a full band. There's like a real resistance to like creating a band and keeping it together. And like, whether it's splits, like everything, like let's say you go play like a bar gig, get paid $150.
Right.
That's fine for you by yourself.
Yeah.
But now you got to split it among 5 other guys.
Yeah.
And like,
so then it's like you have to like have the money from like outside, so like, which is, we all know that's normal. But then you have to have so you need like stability of a job, but like the flexibility of being in a band.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, as somebody who's like made that like I have made that like my priority for like my entire life. I can tell you, at least for me, that's gotten harder and harder and harder. We are getting squeezed, and I truly, I know I was saying this 15 years ago. It's global capital, and now we're getting squeezed by it.
There's the global capital. I think it's also, like we were just talking, the economics of bands are really bad. Like,
which I blame on global capital, but yeah.
And but it's just like it's a trickle down.
Yeah,
it's a trickle down effect.
Yeah,
and it's painful. And I think You definitely see it reflected in, well, one thing I think we can look on the bright side here. One positive for this conversation is I don't think all bands are gone.
True.
If you go out, you and I tonight, we could go see a band right now.
Yeah, I know where we could go.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have to go all the way to Hollywood to do it.
No, you can go see live bands. It's just that those bands that exist that are out there aren't hitting the charts in the way that they were. And this kind of brings us back to our conversation we had before about hip hop.
Yes.
And hip hop.
I'm glad you brought it there. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause like, I think we can talk about the decline of bands, and you see this kind of trend of like, okay, well, there aren't as many bands as there were. And like everybody used to want to be a rock star, and now they want to be a rapper. And like,
now they don't want that anymore.
Now they don't want to be a rapper. Now they want to be a TikTok star. Yeah. So like, well, what is it? What's happening with music and the shift that's going on in the industry? And is it still worth it to be in a band?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Is it still worth it for you as a label to make your brand on building bands? No, probably not.
No, I would say not. So this is fascinating. The last time rock hit the number one on the, I assume this is the Billboard chart.
Yeah.
It doesn't say. Was I'm going to pause. So like you at home, you listening in your car, guess what you think that number is. I'm going to give you just a couple seconds.
The last time rock song was number one on the Billboard Hot 100.
Number being what year?
What year was the last song?
It was 2001.
2001 is the last time we had a number one rock song on the Billboard Hot 100.
Yep.
That's crazy.
It was Nickelback, How You Remind Me.
Oh, that was such a, everybody hated that song.
We hated that
song.
That
was terrible.
And
that's like a classically hated, like, nobody likes that.
Yeah.
That's like literally, that's one of those songs that you could put on just to cringe people out.
Just to piss people off. Yeah.
Yes.
And when you listen to rock radio now, it's bands from the 90s and the early 2000s.
Yeah. Like you get, Nirvana.
Yep.
You get
Pearl Jam, Soundgarden.
Yep. Yeah.
You're bands that I grew up listening to.
You can even go back further because you're still getting AC/DC in those. You're still getting like you're still getting all of these bands from this like peak band era. Between like 1980 and like 1980 and 2000.
Yep.
Like, and really that's a wrap. Like after that, I think you start to see, the proliferation of the independent artist.
Yeah.
And I think you see things, Throughway here is kind of American Idol. You get
That's
this, like, you get this.
The TV show.
Yeah, the TV show. Yeah. Like, you think about what people wanted to be in the 90s. Everyone wants to be a rock star in the 90s.
Yeah.
You get into the 2000s. Everyone wants to be an artist. I want to be a pop star.
Yep.
Then you get into like the 2010s. I want to be a rapper, bro.
Yep.
And you get into the the 2020s, and we're here, and we're like, I want to be a TikToker.
I want to be an influencer.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And I think this is just to wrap this up, I think one of the things that has kind of changed is that like now the grind from being on tour is been replaced by the grind of making content.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is also something that's like kind of a little easier to fire up one.
Yeah, it costs a lot less to make content than it does to go on tour.
Yeah.
That being said, your direct reach is different.
Yeah.
Like when you are at a venue performing, you're able to connect one-to-one.
Oh yeah. There's no difference. There's no equivalent.
Yeah. It's challenging, but I think, it's definitely made making music, getting it out there easier, made creating by yourself easier.
Yeah.
And it's made the ability of getting like your music heard by people, even if it's not in person, way more accessible.
Also worth noting, as we wrap this up, that like despite the fact that bands are on the decline, there are no number one. There are none of these hits that we talk about that are by solo artists.
Mm-hmm.
None of them are like one writer, one producer.
No,
all of them have teams. So it's not like people are
group writing isn't dying.
Right? Yeah, group production isn't dying.
Yeah,
like the collaborative creative process isn't dying. It's just now we tie it to one artist instead of being in a band.
Before we move on from this, I think another thing we should touch on really briefly is like K-pop. and like boy bands like NSYNC. We talked a little bit about like bands versus groups. Like there's
those aren't bands.
No, you wouldn't really consider them bands.
Not your NSYNCs or your Boyz II Men or
your
Temptations.
BTS. Like those are going to be like singing groups, right?
Yeah.
But they've kind of occupied a similar space in culture, where you'll have these, like, the Beatles were a band.
Yeah.
But they were also in this category of like pop band. And I think I think that's one of the first times you start to see bands go, it's still going. I think that's one of the first times you see bands go from being I think the Beatles are one of the first times you're seeing people go from being like, oh, I'm in a band, to being like, oh, we are pop stars.
Right. Yeah.
And it's more about like your personalities, your vibe, what it is that you're doing, your styles. You know, like I think when we look at these like NSYNC, or we look at like other historic bands, each person kind of, or the Jonas Brothers, everybody has their role to play, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has their like, oh, I'm the quirky drummer, I'm the
cute one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think we saw so much of that.
And this also is the kind of thing where like that is so much easier to manufacture or to control, or like have A&R to be like, all right, like we're gonna chase a trend with your band, versus like a band being like, you know, we're 4 members, we're 5 members, we have a reason for being here.
Yeah,
like we have 5 opinions we have to accommodate.
Gosh, yeah,
you know,
that's the other piece. Is like, if it's just are you down to do this show? I need you to sing 5 cover songs.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure. What's it pay? Sure. Yeah.
And if it's all of us,
now we got to all learn all that.
And I'm probably not down. Right. I'm not down to do that. I'm not down to play.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. That cuts against my integrity.
Ska.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew. I'm here to do punk rock.
Right. And the A&R is like, dude, if you do this song, like we're gonna record it. It's like we're gonna get it placed on a Target ad, like it'll be huge.
Target.
And you're like,
I don't want to sell out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not trying to sell. Is that what you're about, Augustus?
And your label
is that what you're about?
Your label is like, yes, you are. That's exactly what you're about.
That's what you're about. The commercialization.
So long story short, just to wrap it up, like if you feel compelled to be in a band,
do it.
Oh God, do it.
Yes.
It's the greatest thing in the world. Things come in trends, things come and go. But if you want it, if your sights are set on being number 1 in the charts, be a solo artist.
Be a solo artist. Bands are declining. That's the way.
This is a cool article. We're gonna put 2 in a 15-minute segment here. You know, as you know, we do these 15-minute segments that I think both speak to a kind of a backlash to modern trends. First, this is by Alexandra E. Petrie for New York Times. Everyone's in sync. Phone ban in NYC dance floors is getting rave reviews. Ooh. In the TikTok era, people were filming rather than dancing. Quote, I'd rather live in the moment and feel the joy, quote, one reveler said. House of Yes, which is a club I think in Bushwick, has joined a growing movement of New York City nightlife spaces that are banning or limiting phones on the dance floor. This year, the policies have been introduced at recognizable venues, including House of Yes and elsewhere, as well as new clubs such as Refuge and Signal. Pop-up dance parties are also eschewing phones. Some venues place stickers over phone camera lenses, have staff members remind attendees of house rules or use signage. Whatever the method, the idea is to improve the experience, and people appear to be responding. So at House of Yes in Bushwick, the venue decided to test out a major change. It made the dance floor a phone-free zone during DJ Eli Escobar's monthly residency. It went so well, the policy has remained in place. So there's more to say about that, but I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on this.
It's interesting. Yeah. What do you think? Like, how do you feel about this? I think a lot of people experience content through their phone, experience life as content through their phone.
Yeah.
So like, I think for some people it's going to be a turnoff, right? Some people are going to be like, "Oh, I can't go to this show and post that I was there." No.
Well, and that's the posting is something that the following paragraph. I love when you do this. For nightlife spaces, one consideration around banning phones is losing what is essentially a source of free online marketing.
Yeah.
But listen to this. After Signal opened, their manager said that its no phones policy received more press than the club's sound system or music programming. So, and I killed their quote. I already erased the quote, but he basically said that like the best publicity we could have gotten was being phone free.
I have two thoughts here. I don't know how long this trend can last. I don't think everyone can have that moment. Like I think some clubs in the beginning, in the first wave, like the AI artists who did really well in the beginning because they were the novelty of being an AI artist.
Do you think it's a novelty thing?
I do. I don't think that this is gonna. I mean, I think you've seen comedy shows do this. Comedy shows have done this where they're like, oh no phones, but they're usually doing it more from like a protection standpoint of, hey, I don't want my set filmed and then distributed other places when I'm working on content. Like when I'm trying to work out my set. So I don't want you to just film my show because you paid $5. I'm doing it.
And the incentive for clubs is different because it is more about helping people stay in the moment.
And like, I mean, we've definitely, we talk about Gen Z's like declining from the club and declining from drinking. Like they're not like drinking the way that like say Gen X drank, and they're not drinking the way that even millennials drank, and they're not clubbing the way millennials clubbed. So I think like we're seeing these new tricks that we're pulling out to make the club cool again, to make it fun, to make it a unique experience. Do I think this will last? Hot take, I don't.
Wow.
Hot take, I think this is temporary. I think some people will do really, really well from this, but I don't think everyone's gonna get it.
I think that's true. I feel like almost diametrically opposed to you.
Yes.
Which is that like,
hit me with it.
So I think that this is a part of a growing and a permanent backlash that is going to be kind of the more that tech ingrains itself into our lives and the more that AI ingrains itself into our lives, the more backlash we're going to have against that. So speaking like, thinking of it as a trend, not like a short-term trend, like popped colors are back in this year, like not that kind of trend, but
skinny
like
jeans.
But like a total like a
long-term trend.
If you can't see my hand,
over time.
Like a long-term, like just like the proliferation of technology kind of trend that we've had since the
printing press.
That kind of trend, I think we are going to continue as that accelerates to have more and more backlash. So where you see this as kind of like a gimmick, and I can see that point, and I do think there's going to be gimmicks involved.
I don't think everyone's going to get the press like this particular club did.
I think you're right.
I think you're right. For a lot of at least independent venues, the value you're going to get from influencers in particular sharing content from your show is still going to be there.
That's true. That's true.
I still think there's value there. I do think that it sucks to go to a concert and see everybody watching the concert through their phone. I think that sucks. That's like not a great experience for everyone. But I don't know if everyone's going to want to like...
No, in fact, even the DJ we talked about, Escobar, he said that he's not against people taking where his night is like having a no photo night. He's even saying like, I'm not against people taking photos as long as there's some balance. He's saying like, he's not saying like, this has to
no photos.
This has to be a shut down phone free zone. But there's probably there's actually one more piece that I think is probably relevant just to kind of bring in as we talk about it. This is again quoting from the article. By promoting community and a sense of escape, phone-free environments also honor the roots of rave culture and dance music culture as a safe space for Black and queer people in Detroit and Chicago.
I don't feel safer without my phone. I don't feel safer without my phone.
They're not asking you they're not saying to put your phone away, like, or they're just
because I've seen that where you have the phone cases,
phone lockers,
the phone lockers. I don't feel safer in any environment without a phone. Especially if it's like a club drinking, like a little bit more chaotic environment. I'm gonna want to have like
they just want you to they don't want you to be waving your phone around on the dance floor.
That's fair.
I think that's like where this is going.
I think not having your phone while you're dancing makes sense. I don't know if not having your phone at the club make sense as a whole thing.
No, you can't because you got to Uber home and you got
to get the Uber.
Yeah.
I also have mixed feelings about the phone lockers.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like a lot of risk there. I don't actually really feel that safe. When have you ever been to a show where they're like, hey, everybody put your phone in this bag or in this bin?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't no, this is my expensive device.
You know what's funny? Because I think of you as somebody who's like pretty like good about your phone. Like I think of you as like having a fairly healthy relationship compared to a lot of people that I know in the world with their phone. Like you're the kind of person who like Cameron will just go off of like grid for a while. Yeah. And I'm like, I'd never go out. Like I'm stuck to my fucking phone. So like I applaud you for that. But it's funny because I'm definitely a little more glued to my phone, but then I think you are. But I'm like happy to put my phone in a bag. I just, for me, when I need my phone, it's usually for like emergency reason, right? Like I'm leaving. I'm calling the Uber and I'm going home now. And I don't want to wait. I'm going home now. Yeah. I'm done. I want to find security and like, or like I've been in like multiple emergency situations where, hey, like something's going on. I'm in a crowded environment. I'm going to like, I need to like call 911. I need to like call someone to make sure someone's safe. You need to find your friends. Also, whenever this is just also, maybe this is me, maybe this is just me and maybe we can just cut this shit out. But like, I think like whenever I'm somewhere without my phone, I think about how much longer it's going to take for me to leave. Because like if I coat check, I have to go to coat check before I leave. Like it's the same thing that I feel like I don't check bags when I fly. Yeah. Because I want to deplane and go. That's you. I don't want to go to the baggage claim and wait for my shit to come down the carousel. So this is definitely not what people are thinking about. They're really trying to get people to stay in the moment at the club. Not everyone is as baggage claim is kind of a different set of concerns. Not everyone has their own. I have my own kind of baggage. The next thing I wanted to talk about, and this is related, is why are MP3 players making a comeback? I don't honestly know. I think it's crazy. Leave them dead. Let the iPods die. Get all the iPods. It's over. Again, we feel differently about this. Yes, we do. For a generation questioning subscription model. This is by Dazed, by the way. For a generation Dazed and Confused? Just Dazed. Ooh. For a generation questioning subscription models, and it's a UK article, by the way. It's going to be UK centric. They're rejecting online burnout. Digital audio players have become a tool for cultural ownership and focused listening. This is a quote now. In the past few years since COVID, we've seen a way more people looking to get a new MP3 player, says Chris Laidler, office manager of advanced MP3 players, and they sell MP3 players. The resurgence is in part aesthetics driven. Wired headphones, we've seen this. Wired headphones are hot now. Yep. Click wheels have a novel tactility that like the screen natives have never really experienced. It's part of the Y2K revival. Going back to an iPod, which is a trend, or a Zune. Yeah, but an iPod. Let's be honest. That's a millennial joke for you all. But this reasoning barely scratches the surface of their comeback. For many, the real value lies in its limitations. So here's why. One 2025 survey of 2,000 UK adults found that 41% believe they look at their phones too much, while 35% are actively trying to cut down or eliminate their screen time altogether. In this context, MP3 players, or DAPs, digital audio players, are being leveraged as a tool for digital deceleration. Some people see it as a rebellion. People, we talk about kind of getting away from Spotify. Yeah, you can't be on Spotify if there's no phone. Yeah, so it's part of like that's one of the reasons why. And then of course people are consciously, which we definitely support. People are consciously choosing to support artists monetarily, and then buying this stuff on Bandcamp. Yes, and then putting it onto their their iPod or their MP3 player or their DAP. Finally. Two more things. Streaming has failed to provide a sense of personal agency or ownership. People just feel like I stream it. It's a playlist, and like I found it, but I also probably lose it. Yes, exactly. They feel like they're at the mercy of platform decisions. And then the last thing I think is that hunting down tracks and manually curating is something that people feel like is kind of the new gateway, right? Because there's no difficulty, right? So we kind of talked about the gamifying thing a little while. Yes. And this speaks to that, where people do want to curate as a way of making their identity. Yeah. And curating your music as a way of doing that. Yeah, I think this is really interesting. I think
I've seen a few people try to make the transition like to an iPod, and not like an iPod Touch, to like an iPod 5th generation with the
turning the
scroll wheel.
Yeah.
I'm not with it.
Yeah.
I'm not there. I think, you know, if I want to download songs, I'm downloading them to my Samsung Galaxy Ultra.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not downloading things to another device to carry and lose.
Yeah.
Like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But I do understand. I think there is an attraction to this retro tech, right?
Yeah.
To like having this like, ooh, this is my music only iPod. Like, okay, I see it. I think it's interesting. I don't know. I think we've seen this a couple times, right? So we talked about wireless headphones.
Yeah.
The return of those, like the trendiness of having those wired headphones. And I don't know that I think.
Do you want to know something?
Yeah.
I just switched to wireless headphones in like 2024.
Aren't they wonderful?
They're great. I got it like, and now they're like trendy. And I was like, apparently I was trendy for all that time.
Yeah.
And now that wired headphones are back, I'm old again.
Yeah.
That's just my personal hot take. That's my beef. That's my version of you trying to deplane. You know, I just want to be cool once in my life.
Yes. So obviously I'm an engineer, so I have lots of wired headphones in my life.
Yeah.
And the thing I think about wired headphones is the wire is going to die.
Yeah.
The wire is going to die.
Wireless.
Either you need to have like device that you can plug in a new cable to, like some headphones. If you get really, really nice headphones, you can plug in, swap them out, new cable. But if you're getting, you know, wired Apple headphones, those are done. That's tech trash. That's waste. That's e-waste that you just created.
But at least there's no batteries in it, so it's better in terms of e-waste. But my question to you, as we kind of wrap this up, is: do you think now? So there's the clubs who are banning or discouraging phone use on the dance floor, and now there's this other trend of MP3 players and digital audio players coming back. Do you see this as part of a do you see this as connected phenomenon? Is this something that's going forward? I see this as connected.
Many moons ago, when we were but youngsters, there was a movement called the hipsters. The hipsters were doing retro things and bringing back the old stuff. And I think this is the new hipster vibe. I think this is the new, like, I'm going to have my iPod. Okay. I'm going to have my wired headphones.
Counterpoint. The hipster revival is what brought us the
vinyl.
Yeah, the vinyl revival that is still going strong to this day.
It's really hard. I think what this is coming down to for me is it's really hard for me to be sold on you liking like MP3s more because it's delivered to you on this physical product versus that physical product. I think like it would be a lot easier for me to see this trend sustain if it were like people buying CDs and creating enormous CDs collections.
Yeah, which they are.
And I think that's, I don't know if CDs are, but like vinyl, I think it is more likely to stay. That's a trend that
CDs
I see.
Still sell more than vinyl, by the way, by a long shot.
But they don't sell more than MP3s.
I don't know. I'm
or
sure
stream.
They don't. Well, they sell more.
They sell more, but they don't. People aren't consuming more CDs than they are streamed MP3s or like streamed music.
Yeah,
and I think that's the convenience of streaming, right?
For sure.
Is that one? You don't need zero physical storage.
Yeah,
you need zero physical place to store all 10,000 MP3s. You don't need like a box to store 10,000. You could, and I think going to the iPod, like the iPod is one way to keep digital clutter off of your ideal device. So let's say you have your iPhone that you use for your social media, for your creation, for all that stuff. And then you want to have a separate device just for music listening. That's going to be your music listening device. And I can see people doing it for a time. I can see people getting into it. I can see the revival. Do I see Apple thinking that there are enough people to start making a new iPod?
No,
absolutely not.
They have no incentive to do that.
I don't see it being big enough of a. But I think if it were like over 50% of people, they'd be like, oh yeah, people want the iPod back. I'll bring it back.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it being like a bigger driver than the iPhone 17 Pro Max.
I feel like it's going to be niche. You're right. But I see this, on the other hand, I do see these things as bundled together.
Open my mind here. Bring me into the world.
I do see this as like two pieces of two pieces of evidence that to show us the backlash against the digital encroachment.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us feel that way. A lot of us feel like we're on our phones too much. A lot of us feel like our phones ask too much of us.
Yeah.
A lot of us feel like our social lives are in a decline because we're all stuck on our phones.
But would you rather be stuck on an iPod?
I don't think that's the question to ask. I think the question is can you get access to music in a way that the reason why iPods and now streaming was so fun to begin with is because everybody has always wanted like their music with them at all times, right?
Yeah.
The Walkman, the Discman, like this has always kind of been a thing.
Yeah.
So like that will kind of never end, but like wanting that. But I think what people are kind of doing a little bit of compromise with or a little trade-off with is saying like, in exchange for a little less convenience, I might gain a little more intention and a little more presence in my life.
Okay, so I've heard this and I can agree here. I can understand this. I was like listening to someone talk about someone who had transitioned over to the old iPod 5th generation with the scrolling wheel. And one thing that he said is he had bought it. This is a Gen Z kid, bought it off of an older guy who had bought it originally.
Okay.
The guy who owned it previously couldn't figure out how to delete his content. Okay. So when this guy got the new iPod, it had all these songs on it. And we talked a little bit about music discovery. This was a form of discovery.
Yeah.
Of like, oh shit, I got this device preloaded with a bunch of bangers that I would never have thought about. And so I can see that. You know, I could imagine buying a haul of iPods and seeing like if you get
crate digging on iPods.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
I can see that, but I have a hard time seeing this. Like, I still think if we're looking for convenience, the convenience is always gonna be with streaming. Yeah, streaming is always gonna be the most. You're gonna get all the songs.
Yeah.
Not how many gigs you got on your iPod?
And enough for a lot of songs.
You got 50 gigs?
No, they're like the new ones are
terabyte.
The new ones are terabytes, and you can actually there's companies that will retrofit your old iPad to put like new batteries and like 2 terabyte hard drives on them.
Okay. So you've got
storage really isn't the issue.
Okay, let's say you've got a bunch of songs. Yeah. Let's say you've got 10,000 songs. Like essentially, most people have between 6,000 and 10,000 songs liked on Spotify or on whatever their streaming platform is. So let's say you could carry your entire liked library with you, not the entire database of Spotify, but your entire,
a bunch of stuff that you really like.
Yeah. That's compelling. Maybe if I don't need extra device.
Yep. But people I think you know, this obviously isn't for you.
No, this is obviously not aimed at me.
This is
I'm old,
but this is a thing that is happening.
Yes.
So let us know in the comments where you stand on this.
Yes.
Are you Team Cameron over here that just says this is not for me?
Nah.
Are you Team Augustus, where you think that this?
I'll give you the iPod for Christmas. Secret Santa, you can have the iPod.
Or are you with me and you kind of think this is an exciting piece of a backlash and a kind of a growing trend, and things like this, not necessarily this, but things like this are going to remain with us now going forward.
Yeah.
That's what I think. We got one more to come back to.
Let's do it.
Hell yeah. All right. Australian local music is in decline, and UK and Canada aren't far behind. A new report warns. This is from, oh my goodness, I didn't save the link.
Is it Music Business Worldwide?
I didn't save the links. But judging by the way that this title is in all caps, I do actually think it might be Music Business Worldwide. So the recommendation algorithms used by streaming services are the main reason why Australia's local artists are seeing a revenue decline, even though Australians themselves are spending more on music, a new report says. So I want to put a little bit of background to this. We've talked about how local music is on the rise in the streaming era, right? Mm-hmm. So like, and they do mention it a little bit, but like Brazilian music is like way, Portuguese language music is like way up in Brazil, right? Mm-hmm. Streaming music, I actually do have one in Denmark. The Danish language artists are dominating the charts, but what's different from these countries than Australia, UK, and Canada? They speak English.
Yeah.
Australia's recorded music revenues grew by nearly 28% between 2021 and 2024, but revenues from local acts actually fell during this period. Australian music's market share fell from 12% to 8% in that time. Had local revenues kept up with overall growth, a further $40 million would have flowed back to the domestic industry in just 3 years. So here's a quote. Australia is now the global poster child for what market failure looks like in recorded music.
Wow.
Vicious cycle risks taking root with increasingly fewer domestic success stories resulting in less domestic investment, meaning even lower chances of future success.
Yeah.
Intervention is required to stop the rot. So the reason why, just to make it really, really clear, is because they're getting all of the American imports.
Mm-hmm.
So America is still culturally dominant
For now.
especially on streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And so like these English language countries, they don't, like, people can kind of get like the music they want to hear in their language from the American market rather than the local
really
market.
Interesting. Like, so we're seeing kind of a disadvantage of countries that are English speaking.
Yeah.
Because there isn't like a differentiation between their national local music and what is popular globally.
Yep.
Where if you're like singing in Korean, if you're singing in
Danish,
German or Danish or Polish or Tagalog, those are all going to be specific to your region and allow for you to kind of benefit from this, like, what do we want to call it? Like the individual streaming age, like the streaming.
Yeah. Like the hyper-localization.
Yeah. Exactly.
But instead, this report labels it as a digital one-way valve that sends listening offshore, since our listening offshore reflects a broader challenge of sovereignty in the digital age. So, like, because music will stream, like, if you're Australia, you'll get this deluge of UK, but mostly American artists. But
because it's in English.
But American artists, the streaming platforms are not then importing great Australian or Kiwi or Canadian music back to America for the most part.
One, I don't think Americans have that much tolerance of non-English music.
True. Except for I would do so with the exception of Spanish language music in the Hispanic cultures. I mean, like, Spanish language music is huge in America. I
think there's a tolerance, but I think from, like, we talked about Bad Bunny, I think there's still a large social pushback.
True.
I don't know if it's like 50%.
No,
I think it's maybe like a loud 30%. Like a pretty loud 30% of people.
It's probably like whatever the Hispanic population is in America.
Oh, no, I mean, yeah. Oh, you mean for who's listening to Spanish? Yeah. I think I saw something there where it was like, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but it was like 50% of language spoken in America is Spanish spoken or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it was a huge percentage of like
Spanish is very widely spoken in the whole world. Not just in America.
And so I thought that was really interesting, but I would almost wonder if like we have historically had a problem in the US taking in music that isn't in English. And I think we're getting better, but we're not there yet.
Americans have historically had some problems with foreigners.
Yeah, it hasn't been great for us. We haven't been like a pro.
And and lately, I think that's been a little bit more of a problem.
Yeah, under the fucking Trump presidency, absolutely. I think we have this like there's like a anti anybody who's foreign. There's a word for that, and I can't.
Nationalist. It's white nationalism.
It's white nationalism rearing its ugly head again in America.
Yep.
But I do think it's really interesting, and I think it speaks to the preservation of culture.
Yeah.
Really quickly, I think like if you can preserve your culture, you can benefit from this.
Yeah.
And the places that were that hadn't been colonized and haven't like lost their language are obviously benefiting in this time.
In this one specific way.
Yeah.
So like, I just thought this was really interesting because it gives us a different perspective on the power of streaming and like the hegemonic power,
the algorithmic suggestions that dictate what you listen to.
Yeah. And we don't think we think about, and maybe this is changing, but like, and this is why we're kind of calling this like the nostalgia episode, right?
Yeah.
Like when you think back to like the high-minded promises of the tech industry was like the algorithms and like the wisdom of the crowd is just going to like kind of serve us all globally, and the cream is going to rise to the top, and it won't matter.
True meritocracy.
Yeah, it's going to be this digital meritocracy that's going to develop, and now we're kind of living in many cases where that's not true. And one case where that's again showing itself is in this streaming situation where countries that speak English, like Australia, for instance, are losing their local culture because of something as stupid as an algorithm.
I think Australia is also a really interesting case study here too, because Australia has a very unique culture. Australia has like a very identifiable accent. The Australian accent is very unique. And I think they're because they're island, their culture is separate. Like obviously they get a lot of influence from the US, they get a lot of European influence,
and a lot of Asian influence.
But I do think they've kind of curated their own thing. Like having their own continent
for sure
gives them their own thing. But I think it's interesting, and it's interesting to see how other landlocked areas, other places that are like not surrounded by other influences, like the US is kind of an example of this because we just have Canada and Mexico. So we are a little bit of isolationist ourselves, but I think we obviously, because of our history, we've exported and imported so much culture here that we've at least tried to be a mixing pot, whether that's worked or not, whether that's been successful or not.
Well, so there's a couple of things. Is like one of the reasons why Canada has actually been more successful at preserving their culture is because they have several government funds set up to promote Canadian music, including to promote Canadian music abroad. So like part of the reason why we have like your Weekends and Drake's now, and many other great Canadian artists.
You mean like Justin Bieber?
Like Justin Bieber. If I were to stand on business, is because of this Canadian Music Fund, or I don't have the numbers in front of me.
Anything exists like that here?
No, nothing like that exists.
I don't think
here.
we have any like national endowment to help artists get further.
No, like here it's like you kind of like trying to get in a Target commercial. But there's like a lot. Most other countries, you are. That's what we have.
Right, though. I'm just hoping Jeff really likes my song and uses it for Black Friday.
But yeah, many cultures. The UK has programs like in Western Europe, Central Europe. I know I lived in Czech Republic for a little while. They've got programs that are designed to export Czech music to the world. And actually, that's one of the things that this report, going back to Australia, one of the kind of remedies that people are suggesting is like Australia needs to step up and
do that and
promote,
create some opportunities for their musicians.
And along with this, they're also saying that like people are calling, and to my knowledge, nothing is happening yet, but they're also calling like as a government, you can work with your Spotify's and Apple Music's and Deezer's to say like, what can we do to get you to encourage you, to incentivize you to make sure that you're giving Australian artists a fair shot in Australia on an Australian platform. So there's a lot that can be done. This isn't have to be inevitable, but really, I just thought it was like a really fascinating trend.
This is something maybe we have to dive into another day, but I think the like cultural export of each country is something that we should dive into here. We should spend like a day talking about, because like the US, we used to export so much culture, whether it was film or whether it was music. We export a culture from like 1950 to like 2000. Like like 2008.
We still are.
Nah, it's a little bit, but not at the scale. Like I don't think we are the global market leader of cultural exports the way we were.
No,
I think
but we still
Korea is exporting culture.
China,
and Japan as well. But I don't see. I think other countries have. They're obviously, those are tentpole. Those are huge, the biggest ones. But I think in certain areas, like finding ways, whether it's through programs like this, incentivation, like incentive
Mhm.
programs
Mhm.
for artists to give them money, to
Mhm.
give them support, to give them tax breaks, to give them stability, to help you create and build a life and give people incentives to create and proliferate your culture outside of your country.
Yeah.
That's something that like
No,
I just want to see more of.
Yeah,
I think that's
I'd
really
love to see
interesting.
more.
And I think it'd be cool to
Yeah.
do a deep dive and see who's. I know Sweden's done some of that historically.
Yeah. We talked recently about the Irish program that
Yes.
they're going to give a
Yes.
UBI
Yep.
to their musicians. So like this can be done. We don't have to accept this status quo.
No.
And again, I always say like like get into UMAW, which is the United Musicians and Allied Workers.
Yes.
This is
Look
like
at you.
the
Look
music
at
union.
you.
Look at me go. So like, this, we don't have to accept the status quo.
No.
And the stories like this kind of illustrate what the status quo is going to bring. And if and this will get worse if we don't find ways to kind of come together and push against it, which we can do.
And I think American cultural export, maybe it was time for a decline, maybe you could say, but I would also say like, it doesn't have to be the end for us. It doesn't have to be the decline. I think we could, like you said, put in financial incentivization, put in like legislation that supports artists, put in like a living wage for creatives, like
tell it on the mountain.
there are things we could do.
And there are organizations out there who are working on it. So I don't know if there's much more to say about this, but I just thought like really fascinating as we kind of look at like, as we're kind of doing this backwards looking,
this nostalgia vibe. Yes.
So like there are like, what else do we stand to lose as we go forward? Well, one of the things we stand to lose is like our local cultures. So I don't mean to leave you on a downer note, but
no.
I want you to take that as a call to action.
Yeah. And if you are Australian or someone who's Australian,
I'm sorry to hear that, but
like it's interesting finding those forms of incentive and like finding ways to proliferate our culture globally.
Yeah. And keep on fighting that fight.
Fighting the good fight.
Thank you for indulging us on a little bit of nostalgia.
Yes.
They say that Mercury retrograde is over, but somehow we talked about
We're still in it.
On mic. We talked about it after, like we both felt like there's just like a pull. There was like more chaos today. And like as I was getting the news together, I was like, this is like an episode about kind of looking backwards and
it is
kind of talking about nostalgia. A little bit of reflective episode.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us on this reflective moment.
Yes.
The Wholesome Music Podcast. We are the DIY podcast about DIY music. We bring this to you every single week.
That's right.
What do we want to tell people?
Well, I want to tell you to like, to subscribe, to share, to send this to a friend, to leave a comment down below. If you're listening on Spotify, well, you're not listening on Spotify.
If you're listening on Spotify, Music, you got to let us know because that's fucked up.
If you're listening on Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, you're listening wherever you get the podcast, leave us 5 stars, leave us a review.
Subscribe.
Yes.
So you can get this every single week in your ear holes.
If you're on YouTube, hit the hype button, hit subscribe, share this with a friend, hit the like button. Definitely hit the like button. Hit the
like button. Hit
the like button.
Hit the goddamn button.
Did you do it?
Hit the fucking button.
Did you fucking do it? You didn't do it. Do it.
You asshole.
Come on.
Look at him. Look at him.
Okay, now
you did this to him.
Now you did.
Yeah, you did that. You did this to Cameron. We'll be back next week. So thank you so much for joining us, and we really appreciate you. And
we'll see you again next week.
Love bringing you this.